Welcome to the Happier and Healthier podcast. I'm your host, Maria Marlowe, and this is a place where we don't rely on good luck or good genes for our health and happiness, but rather we create it with our thoughts and our actions each and every single day. Each week, I'll bring you a thought or a guest that will help you live your happiest and healthiest life. Are you ready? Today's guest is Kristina Bucaram, the founder and creator of Fully Raw and also the Rawfully Organic Food Co-op in Houston, Texas. Now, you might know her as Fully Raw Kristina, which is the name of her website and her YouTube channel, which has over 90 million views. She also has over 3 million combined followers on all of her social media platforms. So I bet if you're into health and wellness, you've probably seen her posts at some point or another. One thing that I love about Kristina is that she's doing so much to help people eat more vegetables and fruit, which you know I'm all about. Now, she has a very different eating philosophy and nutrition philosophy than I do, but I think it's a great reminder that the perfect diet for each of us is always going to be a little different. That being said, one thing that nutrition professionals generally agree on is that we can all benefit from eating more vegetables and fruit. So today I have Kristina on the show to share a little bit more about her philosophy and how you can eat more plants, whether it's just one meal a day or one meal a week. She's going to share some of her tips from her website and her new Fully Raw app. Before we jump into the interview, I want to remind you guys that Eat Slim, my 10-week online nutrition and cooking course for sustainable weight loss and better health, starts September 7th. This is the program that I wish I had when I had a really unhealthy diet and I was so confused and overwhelmed by all of the nutrition information out there. All I wanted to do is heal my body, stop being sick so often, and to lose weight. So this program really comes from that place of I wish that I had someone to really hold my hand and guide me to figuring out what I needed for my body. So after working with many practitioners, after going to cooking school, after going to nutrition school, and then after working with people one-on-one for years as their health coach, I realized there are a lot of similarities in terms of what people need help with. And so that is how Eat Slim was birthed. If you're confused about what to eat, if you want to have more energy, to feel lighter, to feel better, to understand your body, then I really encourage you to join us for this program. It's been called life-changing and people have really got a lot out of it, and most of the participants stay on and continue to support the new people who join the program as time goes on because people just feel really connected to it and enjoy helping others get to that place of healthy being effortless and healthy being something that really becomes your lifestyle and is no longer something torturous or something you have to do, but rather something that you want to do. So there's more details on that at mariamarlowe.com/eat-slim. So you're very well known for being all about the raw vegan diet. You're known as Fully Raw Kristina, of course. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started eating this way? What prompted you to switch your diet?
Such a long, great story. July 15th is going to be my 13th year eating fully raw. So I've been a raw vegan for 13 years, essentially. And when I was 16, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, hyperglycemic, which means that I had high blood sugar. And when I was 18 years old, I was confronted by a man in a grocery store named John Rose. And he just tapped me on the shoulder and started talking to me about this. No, it was basically a miracle. And I was so grateful. You know, after having been sick for a really long time, I decided to give it a go in one night and I never went back. And it has changed my life in ways that I cannot even express to you, but I feel so grateful for it. So yeah, basically I was introduced into this lifestyle after having been sick for a period of time. I experienced everything from like being severely underweight to having fatigue, migraines, vomiting all the time because my body was rejecting so many things that I was eating at the time. All of it. I had such a really not fun teenage years time just from being super sick. And so, yeah, the second that I began to eat healthier, it was such an interesting shift for me because I was eating all these things that nobody had told me to eat before. Of course, doctors were telling me to eat things that were in a package or that said sugar free or for diabetics only and this. And me following their advice was only making it worse. And I'm not telling people to not follow their doctors. It's just my introduction into this lifestyle was my first time ever having done anything alternative or holistic for myself. And me being able to see these changes and to feel myself becoming healthier was very empowering for me. And that was the beginning of my journey. I ended up going raw for 30 days and then for 6 months and then falling in love. And when I switched universities, I ended up coming back into Houston and starting my own mini farmers market here in Houston. And it grew into the largest co-op that we have in Texas it closed last year. And I did that for 11 years. And that was my whole life mission for 11 years. And since then, I've written a book and I just came out with an app. But I started my YouTube channel about 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been really passionate about just spreading the message of getting people to eat more raw fruits and vegetables, getting people to connect with nature's food and to be happier and healthier with what they put in their body.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think it's an interesting point you bring up about the doctors and telling you to eat packaged foods when you're like, okay, no, but when I'm eating these fresh whole foods, that's actually helping me. And the interesting thing is that, of course, yes, we need to go to doctors and we need to listen to them, but most doctors don't get any nutrition instruction. So they don't really know what to recommend unless they have went and studied further beyond their traditional medical school. So I'm with you on eating more fruits and veggies. So I'm curious, so you basically then you started eating this way because you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and you wanted a way to reverse it. So I'm assuming that that did happen. And how long did that take? And then did you notice any other changes from eating this way?
it took about 3 days for me to know what was feeling good and what wasn't feeling good. I would say that the shift for me to completely reverse it took about a year and a half. And the differences that I noticed, I just giving you an insight. I remember the first 3 days that I started eating raw vegan, like my nausea was gone, which was a huge thing. And I could walk without feeling faint and my migraines started to go away. So for me, those were 3 huge things. And I think I felt very fearful of this lifestyle at the beginning because I was eating fruit and I was always told that I couldn't eat fruit because I was a diabetic and it had too much sugar. And here I was monomealing on, 80 pounds of peaches my first, my first week. And that was a profound enough wake up call for me to say, okay, the next steps, whatever they are, I know I can take them. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I didn't know how to make recipes. And I want to jump back really quickly because you had said, it's interesting that doctors had told me to do this, but I was doing something else. The more interesting part about that is that I didn't know the difference because I was so young and I believed, everybody believes anything doctor tells them for the most part because it's, the doctor's orders. So when you discover something else that makes you feel really good that wasn't in their prescription, it kind of blows your mind in a bit of a way, right?
For sure.
And being that young, I was 18. And so I was 18 in Texas. People thought I was nuts at the time for doing this. So I was definitely going against the grain. But the one thing that I kept here, like I kept listening to, was my heart and how good I was feeling and that this felt really right for me at the time. It still feels right for me today. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, for sure, for sure. I think that we're all starting to realize the effect food has on our body beyond just weight. And I think even just a few years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when people thought of food, the only thing they thought it affected was their weight. And now, fast forward a little bit, I think it's becoming more common knowledge and people are more open to the idea that, wait, no, food affects everything. It affects your migraines, it affects your mood, it affects your skin, and literally everything about your body is affected by what we're fueling it with.
I'm going to add on to that really quickly because, most people, unless they're sick, they don't really have a reason to change their habits. And another thing is most people are drawn to this lifestyle, unless they're an ethical vegan, they're drawn to this lifestyle because of the physical benefits. They want to lose weight. They know it'll make them look good. And it becomes more of an ego driven health craze. Had I not been sick, I would have had no reason to go raw vegan. I'd probably still be eating, my mother's Lebanese food right now and feeling ill and not understanding why if it hadn't been for that. So it was my curse at the time, but also my life gift and blessing. And even though people associate diet and food with feeling physically better, I truly believe it was like my gateway in discovering so much more. And by more, I mean the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspect of this. The physical healing for me was just ground one. And then from there, it was like, wow, there's self-love to be had here. And then the emotional healing. Wow, I've had some traumatic things happen. No wonder all of these things have manifested in my body, maybe perhaps a sickness, and then to be able to clean those out and to learn about what it means to truly have self-care and to take care of myself. I truly believe I discovered this journey for that, and connecting spiritually with everything, Mother Nature, Earth, me, one, we're all one. The food was just my gateway drug into this. So there's so much more to look forward to. And I wish I could really express that to people. It's not just changing your diet and like wishing that you were eating some other kind of bad food for you. It's more so, wow, I'm doing this because I love myself. And there's so much more that opens up to me when I allow this to take place in my life.
Right. Yeah. I love that you said it was your gateway into so many other things. And I think it is for a lot of people. And I think it starts physically for sure, because you're starting to feel better. You're not as tired. You think better. Your mood is better, right, when you eat this way. And then it allows you to really take care of your body and just deal with emotional things, deal with so many other parts and areas of your life that we sometimes even use food to dull or to hide, right? So food is just such a powerful, powerful thing. Now, you mentioned your family and your Lebanese food. So I'm curious, since you changed this way of eating, has your family also come along for the journey?
They have, for the most part. I'd say that my parents have really come a long way. It was really hard for my mom in the beginning, her being Lebanese, and this is more of a cultural thing for her to let go of than anything. It wasn't necessarily the food. It was more so when I stopped eating this way, she went crazy because she thought I was abandoning our culture and our family, essentially. And that was a rejection of so many different things. She actually went for a 4-year time period where she didn't talk to me because she had such a hard time accepting it. But my sister came around first, and then my dad came around, and everybody was like, we're not paying so many thousands of dollars on medical bills. Sandra, what's your problem? And then it's hard to deny when you see somebody doing so good, I think. Like, I started making straight A's in school. I started putting on weight and looking better and feeling better, and just all around I was happier. And when people see you happy like that, it's hard for them to kind of be like, oh, something's still wrong with you. You're like, but I'm free. I think it started very slowly, like, one vegan meal a day, then one raw vegan meal a day. I think now my parents are really super into doing smoothies in the day, salads at night. So it's whatever they do for their lunch when they're at work. I don't know. I don't keep track of, but I know that for the most part, they're pretty high vegan, if not high raw vegan. And, recently my mom has done a juice cleanse with me, which was amazing. And yeah, everybody is so supportive and loves it. So I'm grateful.
That's great. Yeah, usually it does take the family a little while to come around, in the beginning. I think when anyone changes their diet, everyone's like, oh, like, what are you eating? Or, oh, why are you eating differently? But once you see the person doing so well, it's hard to, deny that or anything, make fun of it.
You can't be a prophet in your own home.
Yeah, that's for sure. Do not preach. That's like one of the things that I always tell my clients is like, okay, now that you're super excited about healthy eating, don't preach. Let people come to you. And when they see that you're doing well, they'll want to know more and they'll want to do what you're doing.
Exactly.
So any tips for eating this way or just eating healthy in general and fitting that into a very social life, like when you're eating out? Because I think a hesitation or an excuse sometimes we'll make for not eating healthy is that, oh, they go out a lot or they travel a lot or it's hard to eat healthy. So what would you say to that?
Oh, I have so many responses. Are you ready? When I first began this lifestyle, I kept it to myself because I was afraid of what people would think. And by that, I mean, think about it. Very few people go raw vegan when they're 18, 13 years ago in the Lone Star cattle state of Texas, right? So, but something that I realized very quickly is that the more that I kept it to myself, the more that people thought something was wrong with me, right? Because when you keep kind of things to yourself, they're like, oh, what's wrong with her? You know, that's just like something, they just automatically assume that you're not happy and that you're insecure. You don't have the confidence to talk about it and yada, yada, yada. Why would they want to do that? But the second that you're open and you communicate and you have that confidence and you share, people want that. They may judge you at first and they may talk trash behind your back, but they want that. They secretly want that. And so for me, what I learned early on, I'm just going to share a story from my good old college days, since I wasn't a very social girl growing up. I was an art student. I was a pottery student at Vanderbilt at the time for undergrad. And all the girls in my dorm room hallway were in sororities. And they all hung out in their own rooms and they braided each other's hair and they painted their nails and they did all these girly things. And I would always be coming back from the art studio covered in clay and like my grummy backpack, and then I had like my 8x8 foot dorm room filled with bananas, and like people made so much fun of me. Did it hurt my feelings? Yes. Until I don't really know what happened or what got into me, but this one day I was walking down the hallway and all the girls were hanging out in the room, and I walked by and I heard them all giggle, and one of them was like, that's her, that's that banana girl, and they all started laughing, and I was like, oh, is that me? Is that really me? I was like, okay, just be brave. So I took a few steps back and I walked into the room and all their faces were like, did she hear us? Oh my God. And I was like, hey, you guys, it's Kristina. I just wanted to say hi. I'm just a few, dorm rooms down. I noticed you all hang out quite often and I just thought I would say hi. And they were split quiet for for quite a bit until finally, they opened up a conversation and one of the girls just flat out said it. She's like, so we noticed that you eat a lot of bananas. Like, why do you do that? I'm so glad she asked because it gave me the opportunity to be like, actually, I used to have diabetes and I'm still kind of healing from it and getting into why this has changed my life and yada, 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 and this and this. And then I was like, you know what? I actually have a ton of ripe fruit in my room. I'd be happy to make us all smoothies. And they're like, oh yeah, and then we can watch Rent in your room. That was it. That was the moment when I realized the second I began to share this with people and share my enthusiasm with people about it, that's all it took to shift things for me socially. And so now I've built my friendships around more than just food. So we'll go do yoga together. We'll go to a museum or travel or go to the beach, or we'll just like sit and actually communicate and have fun. It doesn't always have to be around food. But if it is around food, I love being able to go to people's houses or to invite them into my house and we'll make food together and have that experience, because it's a great one to be able to share food that you love and to bring them into this lifestyle. And if I ever do have to go to a restaurant, finding a place where I can have vegan or raw options, or maybe I'll eat before I go and then just like order something small when I get there. There are always ways to get around it. But I know that if I take care of myself first, then I feel so much better about myself and I don't get angry at myself for making bad choices, or I don't have resentment, that I can be my best self for other people if I know my needs are met, and then I can help other people more. So hopefully that helps for you to understand like my realm in the social space.
For sure.
Full circle with that, but yeah.
No, that's such a great story. And it does really put things into perspective. And I think it also just, I think people are so scared what other people think of them. And then when you actually address it, all of a sudden these girls that were maybe not talking nicely about you or whatever because of fear, because they didn't know who you were, what you were about, all of a sudden you talk to them and now you guys are hanging out, making smoothies and watching movies together. So I think that's just a really great example. Now, we don't have to be scared of these things, and that communication and sharing is a great way to connect with other people. And they don't have to have the same exact beliefs as us or eat exactly like us. You can still be social and hang with everyone.
One of the funniest part about that is it's almost been a decade since I finished college, and I don't remember any of their names. I don't talk to any of them still anymore. So I don't talk to any of them anymore, but some of them have actually reached out to me and said that like I made such a huge impact on their life and now they've gone vegan. And I'm just like, wow, thanks. Like, I'm not going to be like, I don't remember you. But it's funny that me even just mentioning it that time or making a smoothie in my dorm room or talking to them about it created some kind of an impact for them. It's like, we may not be able to understand that now, but the impact later on, it may show up in their lives 10 years from now. And we were somehow a link in the chain to making that possible for them.
Yeah, you're giving me like goosebumps now. There's that Marianne Williamson quote about, we're so scared to shine our own light, but when we shine our light, we give others the chance to shine theirs. And I think very often people won't say anything to you. Even if you're posting something on Instagram, your picture or your caption for it might actually affect and change someone in some way, but you'll never know it because they didn't even comment on it. Maybe they didn't even like the photo, but it still touched them. And you just really have to continue being yourself and shining your light and talking about what you're passionate about and what you believe in. And you don't know how many people you're having this ripple effect for.
Yes. And yes. It's really hard to be yourself. Like I asked this quote on my Instagram the other day and I said, if the whole world hated you, the whole world hated you, like the whole world, could you still love yourself? I mean, if you just think about that for a minute, I spent a lot of time thinking about that one thing last week, especially with all the suicides and this. It's like, imagine if you did something and everybody hated you for it. Could you still love yourself at the end of the day? Like, that's how fiercely we need to love ourselves sometimes in this society, because people don't love themselves when it comes down to it, not in their actions, not in their self-talk, in the way that we're so critical or we don't feel good enough. And these are the roots of so many of our issues. The food just brings it out. The food just brings it to the surface and it allows more healing to happen. It brings more nourishment to the body. It is an act of self-love. But yeah, some powerful work that needs to be done.
For sure. And I do think there's this huge epidemic of not caring for ourselves and sort of self-hate. And I was just talking with Kayla Itzines, who's from Australia, and she was saying, how when she grew up, her mother never said one bad thing about her body. She never said, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, never any negative self-talk. So that's how she grew up. But here, I feel like it's sort of the way that women connect is that they bash themselves and talk about their appearance in a negative way, or just have so much shame around their body. And I think that is a huge issue. And then the other issue is bullying, which I'm sure, and I know you have experienced, unfortunately, is that sometimes people will take out their frustrations and anger and hate on other people and bully people. So how do you deal with that? Because I know you have built an amazing, incredible, supportive community, but I think anyone who has any sort of presence online or puts their name out there, they also have people that are rude and mean. So how do you deal with that?
I have dealt with my fair share of online harassment the past 6 years. I mean, it got bad, really bad at some points where I had to call the FBI. I've also had my fair share of stalkers. In the very beginning, it really mentally affected me and it made me sad because it was like, but that's not me. And these people don't see me for who I am. And I'd go off on like, but that's not my intention, or they don't know me, or can't they see I'm trying to do good? Until I realized they weren't seeing me. They were seeing a reflection of themselves in some way. And no matter what I did or said, or, I spent hours trying to see if I could make things right or please people or say sorry when I didn't even need to be saying sorry. They should have been saying sorry to me. I realized I'm not here to please anybody in that way. I'm here to educate people and to give them the knowledge that I know for them to lead their best lives. And I do believe I always carry myself in a respectful way. I don't bash anybody or put anybody down. I try to love everybody the best of my ability. And if somebody doesn't like me and they take that out on me, is that my problem? It does hurt at times, but the best thing I can do is mainly just to have compassion for them. There are a lot of keyboard courage people out there on the internet who would say things online that they would never say to your face. And then I've had people who've actually said them to my face before, and that does hurt and it is a little scary. But I still choose to hold compassion and know that, wow, if they say that to me, imagine how they must talk to themselves in their own head. Like, then I really feel bad for them. I'm like, they must really be unhappy. There are some moments where I feel like my worst bullying has come from other influencers in our community. Jealousy is a very real thing, unfortunately. Competition is a real thing. People wanting to feel good enough or participating in gossip, and it's not something I like to be a part of. I think I won't name any names, but maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, one of my worst cases of public harassment was a couple from Australia who made awful videos about me and posted them on YouTube. And it was just such an awful case of public harassment where everybody believed all of these awful lies that they were telling people. And at the time, I chose not to stand up for myself because I felt like I'd be giving them what they wanted if I did that. So I just stayed silent. I believe it was the right thing for me to have done at the time, because eventually that truth played out and people saw that it was false, and then people came and apologized to me. But I feel if it were like in today's age, I do believe it's important to stand up against being bullied, because it can really mentally affect you. It can really mentally affect people, especially for young kids who are in school, or maybe you're, doing your online thing now. But yeah, I've been a victim of bullying quite a bit, and I handle it a little differently than most people now. Fiercely loving myself being the number one thing. But yeah, no, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
I guess short answer would be I choose to share love and compassion with those who must not feel good enough about themselves to be able to create such disharmony publicly.
Right.
For me or for other people.
Well, no, I appreciate and I'm so grateful for you sharing that, because I think that is really the best way that we can deal with criticism and hate and bullying, is being kind and compassionate and loving, not only to ourselves, but to that other person, because you don't know what the other person's going through and what's going through their head. And like you said, if they're saying this to me, God only knows what they're saying to themselves. And so just to kind of take that higher road there and not stoop to that level of being, spewing hate and meanness and rumors and that sort of thing. So I think you handle it well.
Thank you. Don't let anything ever eat you alive inside. It's not worth it. Talk about things. It just feels so much better just to talk about things and to set them free. Have you ever heard that phrase, you have to feel it to free it?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
In that.
Right. And then talking about it, even with this whole Me Too movement, women have been silent so long, not even just bullying, but, harassment and all these other things. And when you're silent about things, they do sort of start to boil up at some point and explode out. So yeah, getting into that habit of, sometimes it's uncomfortable, but addressing things and just moving on, or addressing things and not letting it affect you, still being kind and compassionate, but then getting it out of the way and just kind of moving on.
Yes. Moving forward. It's so hard to move forward though when you have things that really traumatically affect you, but maybe that's a part of the day-by-day process, is nourishing yourself, taking care of your physical health, making sure that your needs are being met. I'm super big on that.
For sure. So let's switch gears a little bit and go back to the food. So I know you always have the most beautiful food photos in your backyard with the pool, with the green, and you have so many great creations. Can you tell us a little bit about, or can you explain to us, what do you typically eat in a day, and maybe what are some of your favorite foods?
What I typically eat in a day, raw food wise, I wake up in the morning, whether I have a fruit-infused water or some kind of a mushroom elixir, that'll be my first hydration point of the day. And then I usually have a big batch of green juice for breakfast. I'm all about hydration in the morning. So whatever the juiciest thing I can find, whether it be a juice or a smoothie or melon, but I'm really big on green juice right now. So cucumber, celery, cilantro, kale, ginger, garlic, lemon, all of that just in one big green jar. Lunch is usually a big bowl of fruit. I monomeal quite a bit, or I'll do a smoothie of some kind. What does a monomeal look like for me? It would be like half of a watermelon, or maybe it would be 4 or 5 mangoes, or maybe it would be like 5 or 6 nectarines, a bag of grapes, a bag of cherries. I just get my stuff done. I'm on the go. I'm eating fruit. It's the easiest thing ever. I call fruit my fast food.
And is there any specific benefits to doing a monomeal besides for it being convenient?
Yes. Oh gosh, improved digestion being the number one thing. And it is the easiest way to eliminate as well. It's completely hydrating. The fruit is high in water content and also has a lot of fiber in it, keeps things moving in your day. And one of the things that I really like that people don't realize is that by eating one thing at a time, you kind of train your taste buds to let you know when you're actually full, because that one fruit will stop tasting good to you. So it's easier for people to fix a craving by having a monomeal. So yeah, fruit monomeals for lunch. And then for dinner, it'll be anything from a rainbow salad. I'll make my own dressings, lots of kale and greens, all the colors of the rainbow I can possibly fit. And my dressings are usually made. Last night's dressing was avocado, tahini, lemon, basil, cilantro, a little pinch of pink Himalayan salt, and garlic.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and just mix it in, you do the thing, and then you eat it, and voila, it's been an amazing day. So I keep things pretty simple, but for me, I eat so much variety throughout the year with my fruits and vegetables that I don't ever feel like I'm being deprived of anything.
And do you eat pretty seasonally as well, I'd imagine?
Yes, absolutely. So right now, watermelons, peaches, nectarines, stone fruits, all of those are in season. So I'm eating all of those. But you never know. Fall is around the corner, not could be around the corner. And then I would, have a lot of persimmons and pomegranates and pumpkins and things like that. So squashes.
Yum, I love all those things. And what about desserts? I know you have a lot of banana ice creams.
Banana ice cream for me is just basically a frozen smoothie. A lot of people think it's a dessert, but I'll have it for breakfast or lunch on any given occasion. I had it for breakfast yesterday. I just wanted it. I would say I love raw vegan desserts. Sometimes taste better to me than other desserts.
100%.
So good. I mean, anything with dates, cacao, mulberries, coconut nectar, just all of it tastes so good. I mean, you can make some pretty amazing raw vegan creations. So,
yeah, there's a lot of options. I feel like that raw vegan desserts are kind of the gateway into that because they taste so good. And like you said, usually even better than regular desserts. So that when people try, they're like, oh, actually, okay, maybe I can eat more fruits and vegetables.
I love how your eyes lit up when you were like, and desserts? I know what you're having right now.
Yeah. And a question that I'm sure you get all of the time is, where do you get your protein from if you're mostly eating fruits and veggies?
Greens. Fruit actually has protein in it as well. Most people don't realize that. Nuts and seeds have protein in them as well, but I consider those to be more a source of fat than of protein. And so, yeah, most of the time it's through my greens. If I'm not juicing, I'm still consuming at least 3 heads of leafy greens every day, whether it be kale or romaine, the 2 basic easiest ones for me. And then I'm juicing more greens on top of that. There's so much protein in greens. People don't realize they just don't ever consume enough of it to be able to get those benefits. So I don't know if you've heard this before, but 3 pounds of leafy greens, depending on the green, can be up to 60 grams of protein in your day. Oh, wow. That is a lot of protein. There's only 24, 25 grams of protein in one fillet of chicken breast. And not all of that is going to be absorbed into your bloodstream because it's a meat-based source. But plant-based sources, it's like 80% of that is absorbed into your bloodstream. So you're actually getting more than you need. Yeah. We don't actually need that much protein.
Right.
And there's a lot of, unless you're doing bodybuilding or something, you can get by with 10%. So.
And besides for the juicing and salads, any other interesting ways that you get more greens into your diet?
Juicing, smoothies, salads, dehydrating some kale chips, things like that. I mean, interesting ways that I get more greens.
A wrap, maybe? Do you ever make like wraps using the lettuce?
I do wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those things. See, for me at this point, I just love eating them. I'll eat kale and cherry tomatoes and just I'll eat it just like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. I think greens are the one thing that we're universally lacking. Most people don't eat enough greens. And if we could just add in more greens, what a difference that would make.
Yes.
So in the app, you have recipes and meal plans. Can you tell us a little bit about what's in that?
Thank you. It's taken about 2 years now to completely design the app and bring it into fruition. It's amazing to see a project come from an idea to an actual completion. So the app is a compilation of almost all the content that I've created. There's 100 raw vegan recipes and 100 informational videos where you can learn about the lifestyle as well. And each recipe comes with a recipe video. So tons of information in there with the listed ingredients. You can select your favorite recipes. You can create shopping lists based upon which ingredients you pick. And there are even challenges in the app where if people want to try one raw vegan meal a day, or if they want to try one day of eating fully raw, if they want to do one smoothie a day for 10 days, there are different kinds of challenges in the app as well that can keep people pursuing this lifestyle, or even just, accountable for being healthy on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you brought up, you don't necessarily have to eat 100% raw vegan. Have one raw vegan meal a day even, or make it a week or whatever. Just doing that will start to add more fiber, more nutrients into your diet, and you can start slowly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little overwhelming to ask somebody to go raw vegan or even vegan, especially if somebody is very accustomed to eating a different way. I mean, if you think about it, it's easy to have one raw vegan meal a day. To have a smoothie in the morning, anybody could do that. To have a juice in the morning, anybody can do that. I think it's when it gets to the evening meals, most people struggle with dinner because they want something heavier to eat at night to fill that craving. And I tell people, as you begin to eat this way, the more you begin to enjoy these flavors and the way that it makes you feel, the more you begin to gear towards this lifestyle and things start to taste different to you. You begin to enjoy this food more. The other food may not look like food to you as much. And you begin to enjoy the process of rewarding yourself with nourishing foods as opposed to self-sabotaging yourself with foods that don't make you feel good.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point that you bring up, is that I think our taste buds start to change. So once you start eating healthier foods and you eat more fruit and more vegetables, all of a sudden the sugary candy bars are almost too sweet that you don't even want them anymore. So just kind of baby steps, I think, lead to big results over time.
Absolutely. I mean, one raw vegan meal a day, it's like, wow, I could do that. A few months later, you've been doing that. You're like, I think I could do 2 a day now, right? Maybe a gradual transition, but as long as you enjoy the process and you're enjoying the food that you're eating and have fun, you have nothing to lose.
Right. And we can all use some added nutrients. We could all use some added fiber in our diet. So,
yes.
So one question I love to ask everyone is, if you can leave our listeners with just one tip or piece of advice to live a happier and healthier life, what would that be?
I would say to eat one raw vegan meal a day, since we were just talking about it, because it's the simplest way to do it, and to practice self-love and self-compassion along the way. This includes not just the food, but perhaps when you're eating the food, to also practice forgiveness when necessary, to hold space for people around you, and just to acknowledge the fact that you are doing something for yourself that will bring you love and harmony.
So beautiful, beautifully said. So people can find out more about you and the app at fullyrawkristina.com with a K. Anywhere else, we could also find you on Instagram under the same handle.
Instagram, YouTube, my website, fullyraw.com, all of the above.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If you enjoyed and got value from this episode, I'd be so grateful if you can take just 1 minute to leave an honest review on iTunes, as that will help us reach more people and get incredible guests on the show. To say thank you, email a screenshot of your review to info@mariamarlowe.com and we'll send you a free 3-day healthy eating sugar detox meal plan. After each and every episode, I encourage you to come say hi on Instagram at Maria Marlowe, that's MariaMarlowe, or in the private Happier and Healthier podcast group on Facebook. In both of these places, we can continue the conversation about today's episode, so come and share what you think. If you want more, you can also head to mariamarlowe.com, where you'll find tons of healthy recipes, meal plans, and resources to help you live your healthiest and happiest life. Lastly, if there's someone you know who'd enjoy this podcast, make their day, and mine, and send it to them now. Until next time, don't forget, health and happiness are a choice. Our thoughts become our reality, so make sure you're thinking up a masterpiece.